Drills Talk, episode 167. In this episode, we're going to discuss the top 4 reasons you'll stay broke. This is based on a blog I wrote in the past entitled Benefits of a Budget. Benefits of a budget. 1, not being broke. Another, understanding delayed gratification. Another, not worrying about getting money and as soon as it comes in, it goes out. So there are going to be plenty of benefits of a budget. There's going to be plenty of reasons why people don't have one, but we're going to go over why we're still broke. Broke is, I would say, a fluid thing. There's people that have money that consider themselves broke because they're not where they want to be. So if you're not quite where you want to be financially, this one's for you. Let's go.
Created by the great wizard of the new world.
Yo, Drill.
Drills Talk, episode 167. In this episode, we're going to discuss the top 4 reasons you're still broke. But before we get started, please like, subscribe, show your love however you would like to show your love. Here we're on entrepreneurship/mindset motivation channel. Every Monday, there's a new blog. Every Wednesday, there's a new Drills Talk. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Let's get started. Number 1. Number 1 is no value of a dollar. You really don't understand money. Like you know that you can buy stuff with it. You know that people work for it. You know that you work for it. You know that you aspire to have much more than you have right now. But you have no real value to it. Like you don't really understand that, going out 3 times a week or ordering food to be brought to you 3 times a week is the equivalent of you going shopping for a week. So you're kind of trading that 3 days for 7 days if you were to buy groceries. You know that if you understand that, that's the slow matriculation towards maturity. If you understand that the trade-off, there's a trade-off for every dollar you spend. And I know that sounds like work, but if you don't want to be broke, you need to put forward effort in that work. Understanding that, okay, if I buy this now, I won't be able to do this later. Me making this purchase right now is saying that I can't do this in the future, so it's a give and take. And usually that instant gratification is not really as good as what you would get if you were to say invest it or spend it a wiser way. With the scenario with the supermarket, going to the supermarket and buying 7 days of groceries with what you would buy, if you were to order in 3 times. You get a lot of money, you get a lot of bang for your buck. Bang for your buck is knowing the value of a dollar. So we're always looking for a deal, but we don't know why we're looking for a deal. We're looking for a deal, but we're spending in the wrong areas. We need to understand value of a dollar. What's the bang for my buck? How am I going to make the best purchase I can make now? Or would it even be smarter to not make a purchase at all? That's what we need to think about. Number 2. Number 2 is you don't have a budget. How can you ever make any type of progress if you don't know what's coming in versus what's going out? And not only do you not know that, you can't know how much you can put towards something that's going to grow for the future. How could you invest in anything if you don't have a budget? You won't know how much you can invest, right? You don't know what's left after the expenses. You don't know if your expenses trumps what you're bringing in. We're in real trouble without a budget. A budget seems like work, of course, because a budget is work. But doing that work up front gives you the flexibility of knowing how much money you can spend on a weekly basis, monthly basis. It tells you how much money is going towards that savings, how much money is available for spending, how much money is going into investments for the future. You know these numbers because you can go into an Excel spreadsheet and look and say, this is how much I bring in per paycheck. This is what I'm paying during this paycheck. This is where the savings is going. These are the investments, and this is my spending money. That's completely liberating. You need to try it if you don't have a budget right now. It is irresponsible to not have a budget. It is irresponsible to not be able to go on your laptop or on your phone and open up an Excel spreadsheet and see your budget. So where if something comes up, 300, 400, 2,000, 5,000 based on your budget comes up and you need to switch some things around for a couple months to, ease the pain of that new bill, that surprise bill that came in. how long is it going to take you until you're back to your normal budget? The only way you can know that is to have one. Number three is you don't own assets. You own nothing that's going to gain value, basically. You can own a car, but a car is not an asset because a car depreciates. Well, most of them, the majority of them. And you're most likely not a car collector, right? So you are living paycheck to paycheck, which many of us do. So it's not like a downer thing, right? So you're living paycheck to paycheck and you aspire to not live that way, right? But the only way you can get to a point of not living paycheck to paycheck is to own assets. What's an asset? An asset is something that's going to accrue in value, or even better, an asset is something that can make you money from simply owning that. There's a benefit to owning it as opposed to a liability, where a liability, there's no benefit. It actually costs you to own it. So things like rent, that cost you. You get to live in a place for 30 days, but that's it. And then you need to re-up to be able to live in another 30 days, right? That's not the same as a mortgage, to where you own the home. You are paying every month the same way you're paying for rent, but some of that money goes towards the balance of that house. And as your payments keep coming in, you accrue something called equity. So now you have equity in the home to where you can utilize that as an asset, pull that money out and invest in something else that's going to make you even more money. You can't do that with rent, right? Only the landlord can do that. The landlord is living this life over here, and you're living the month to month. I can live here for 30 days if I come up with this rent again. That's not an asset. That's a liability. So if someone tells you, oh, you shouldn't own a house or you shouldn't buy anything, they're basically telling you you should rent for life and, have nothing to pull on. Most people's biggest asset, their biggest, money maker is their own home. And if you don't own one, now you've taken away the most likely of assets that you can have as a person. The average person's biggest asset is their home. So think about it the next time you say, okay, well, I want to be more financially stable. Ask yourself, what assets do you own? You own any stock? You own any real estate? Do you own anything that's going to make you money? You have a website, e-commerce store? Do you do anything outside of your normal 9 to 5 to, make some extra money that you can turn into an asset? Do you have a business idea that can maybe turn into something bigger than just an idea? Now that can be an asset, a business that you own. Just think about it. Number 4 is you have no patience. Why do we have no patience? Because we see everything that we want. It's all there. The nice house is out there. It's probably a neighborhood or two over. The nice car is zooming by us while we're driving, or even worse, waiting on the bus or taking the train. All the stuff is here. So what are we waiting for, right? But this is what messes us up. See, we want access to everything, and the world kind of gives us access to things that we're not supposed to have with credit, right? There's great ways to use credit, and I'll make a video on that later on. But we use credit for negative things. Like, we're using credit for things that's not going to give us money. So we're spending money from somebody else. We're going to pay interest, which is way too high. Usually with credit cards, you're in the 20s, right? Which is ridiculous. You would never take a loan for 20% interest, but we use a credit card and we do that. So just think about that too. That's another reason we're broke. But patience, right? Because if we can wait, then we don't need to put $3,000, $4,000, $10,000, $20,000 on a credit card and pay 20% interest on that or more per year, because we know that it's safe to take it nice and slow, not have that thing right now and pay 20% interest on it for who knows how long. Let's just wait. Let's be patient. Let's budget, right? Let's understand how long it'll take us to get that without putting $20,000, or $10,000 or whatever is a normal amount for you on a credit card. And we can do that because we can open up an Excel spreadsheet, look at our budget, and understand, okay, well, this is something that I want. I aspire to have this new car, and it's really fancy. But I know now that a car is not an asset. It's a depreciating asset, if you want to call it that. You get something out of it. You get to drive it around, but it depreciates, which takes away the kind of asset thing, right? Not in the terms of what we're discussing an asset to be. Now, you can make it one if you drive Uber or something like that, and then it's used as an asset, right? But it's still depreciating in value, it's losing value. So understand, patience is going to keep a lot of money in your pocket. You don't need that great car right now. You don't need the mega mansion right now. A nice condo would do because you still own it, right? A nice car that's not going to break down on you, and if it does break down, you can't afford to fix it. You don't want that kind of car right now. You don't need that right now. Patience. Yes, it'll be great to get into real estate and own, a 50-unit multifamily complex, but you don't have the experience to jump into that right now. Even if you did have the funds to do it, you don't know how to run it. So it can go south very quickly. What's wrong with doing a duplex first? Maybe a quad, and maybe living in one, right? Just to get the idea of how this is supposed to go. Get the idea of what does it take to, get a tenant, keep a tenant, do a background check on a tenant. What are some things you should look for with a tenant? Things like that. Let's take it slow, and let's break the chains of being broke. Drills Talk, episode 167. These are the top 4 reasons you're still broke, but you won't stay broke. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. It's drills.com. Check this out. It's Drills.